Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
I haven't seen that wagon since it hauled us out from Missouri.
Yeah, it's filled of furniture.
What's she up to now?
Well, she'll tell us soon enough.
She'll tell us, all right. You've been telling us how to breathe for as long as I can remember.
No sense getting riled about it. Just don't forget how much we owe her.
And don't you forget how much she owes us. We turned over to her just about every nickel from every job.
Now you know she's just holding that money for all of us.
Look, we've been accumulating loot for over a year now. I say it's time we share some.
There'll be no cash sharing. There's the Sawtelle brand. Right now, it's carried by a mangy handful of scrub ponies. Now, we keep listening to Aunt Maggie, and one day it'll mark the biggest herd in the Northwest, and all three of us will share that.
And that's how you and I want it. But she still hasn't said that's how it'll be.
Come in. Oh, you're a fine sight for these tired old eyes.
Sure good to see you again, Aunt Maggie. We come soon as we got your message.
Well, you ain't missed none of my cooking, I'll bet you. How are you, Peter?
Just fine, Aunt Maggie.
Why don't you wash your neck now and again? My, but you're an untidy boy.
We brought all our belongings like you said, Aunt Maggie. Were you figuring us to move in here with you again?
Well, in a way, Benjamin.
I thought you didn't want anyone to know we were your nephews.
That was my plan. So far, no one's connected us. They'd never think to search this house for the loot from your holdups.
Then why'd you have us bring all our goods? Haven't you got another job lined up first?
Oh, my, yes. The Wells Fargo payroll is in their safe this morning. It's there every Saturday morning, waiting for the stage to pick it up.
Well, that's better. What Fargo office do you want us to go after this time?
The one in Sandstone.
Sandstone? Are you crazy?
You moved us all over the state, Aunt Maggie, but we never hit Sandstone. You didn't want to operate so close to this farm.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore, boys. You saw the wagon outside in the house, didn't you?
Oh, you mean we're pulling out?
That's right. I've already sold the farm. The new people are taking possession in the morning, and we're on to a new state.
But why?
Why? Well, for one thing, it's getting a little warm around here. People are getting riled up about the two masked bandits. You boys have got yourself a reputation.
That's your doings, Aunt Maggie. You sure planned our jobs good.
And don't ever forget it. Anyways, I'm not getting any younger. Think it's time we moved on and spent some of the stolen money,
I'm for that.
Now, wait a minute. You mean this is the last job we're going to pull in this state?
That's right. We'll be on our way by nightfall.
Well, you should have told us before, because I don't want to leave here. Well, I got a girl.
Well, that's just too bad, Peter, because you're not going to see her again.
Now, I got some say around here.
You got no say, boy, you ungrateful child.
That's right, Pete. You know Aunt Mag took us in when we were a couple of orphans. She gave us a home since we were knee-high to a snake.
Well, I'm not arguing that.
I should guess not, and you're not arguing that I educated you along practical lines. If I hadn't taught you how to ride and shoot and steal, you'd been hung or in jail long ago.
We're lucky she raised us right.
And kept you right. If I hadn't planned these jobs, you'd been caught by now.
Well, I'm not ungrateful, Maggie.
Well, then how come you're arguing against me, boy?
I just want a little more time.
Time is costly in this business. Hit and be somewhere else when they look. You'll hit Sandstone in the morning, and we'll be somewhere else when they look for the thieves.
Yes, Aunt Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sit down.
Oh, Benjamin. You're a good boy. Come on, stick out your fist. These are for you, Benjamin. Something nice and warm against the cold up north where we're going.
Gee, they're sure pretty, Aunt Maggie.
Well, now you better get along. Your horses must be spent, so cut out 2 fresh ones from the corral.
Any special orders?
The same method that you used in the Holstead holdup. Peter, you go through the front door. Benjamin, you go through the back, and you box them in. No shooting unless you have to. Gunfire rouses a posse too fast.
Yes, thanks, Aunt Maggie.
Look out for each other, boys.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I'll cut out the horses. You toss the packs in the wagon.
Hey, Benny. You ever stop to think about Aunt Maggie? How maybe she took us in so she could raise herself a couple of gunmen?
Just remember, without her, we're nothing.
Sometimes I think because of her, we're nothing.
Horses ready. We go now, Kemo Sabe?
Tonto, we must stop those 2 masked bandits who have been terrorizing this area.
Now, where we look, all trails been cold by time we get there. No way to tell where them rob next.
Yeah, that's true. I've been thinking about the town of Sandstone.
Sandstone, that only place them not robbed.
Exactly, the only place. Every other town in this area has been struck by these men. Only Sandstone has been bypassed.
You think maybe masked bandits not want trouble in Sandstone?
If they lived there, they wouldn't like investigations so close to home. Only the omission of crimes in that town alone must mean something.
Me see.
Tonto, we'd better look into this.
Good. Maybe we surprise them.
I hope so. We must stop them. Let's go.
There you are, Sheriff. I win.
No, I have to stop this, Matt. Here I sit with you every Saturday to keep you from being robbed, and I wind up with you robbing me.
Oh, I appreciate your company, even if I don't need your protection.
Well, I swear I'd stop coming, except the one day I stayed away, somebody'd probably stick the place up and clean out your safe.
Oh, it's an education. I'm teaching you the fine art of card playing.
You sure change a game of chance.
Don't try it, Sheriff. You're that masked pair of bandits we've been hearing about.
Get that safe open. Be quick about it.
So you finally got around to Sandstone,
Shut up. Get it open.
All right.
Here, open your mouth.
What are you going to do about him?
Leave him. He'll be out long enough.
They got away, huh?
They went through that door. They figured you'd be out for a while.
Well, my hat must have taken up most of the shark.
You raise a posse, Matt.
Follow. I'm going after them before they get away.
Watch your step, Sheriff. They're plumb mean.
Somebody following us. It's that sheriff. All right, pal, you asked for it.
Shot, Kemo Sabe.
Come on, Tonto.
You got him.
Yeah, I thought I had him before back in the office. He's tough.
Now, come on, let's get out of here.
No, I gotta make sure he's finished.
Well, you can't go down there now, Benny. There'll be a posse along in a few minutes.
I gotta take that chance. If he gets back on that horse, he'll follow us to Aunt Maggie's farm. You stay here. Come on. Come on.
Stay with him, Tonto. I'll go after that man.
Who are you? Why'd you want to kill that man?
Now, just a minute. You're wearing a mask. Maybe you and me are on the same side.
I doubt that. You'd better answer my questions.
Work them out for yourself, mister.
We're going to take you back and see if you're going to be held for murder. Now get going. Hold it. All right, move along.
Man.
Of all the fool tricks, going after those bandits single-handed. Well, you're lucky to be alive.
Good thing I remember them outlaws clear. Otherwise, I'd think I'd beat you with our card game, and you shot me out of pure orneriness. Who's that?
That's one of the bandits.
Well, then you did catch one.
Not me. They did.
But he's got a mask on.
Perhaps this will help to identify me, Sheriff.
A silver bullet. Silver? Well, what do you know?
That's who it is, all right. Our posse ran into him and Tonto. They were riding to town with you slung across the saddle.
You took a bullet in the shoulder, Sheriff. We caught that man trying to kill you.
Well, I owe you something, mister. But that's no surprise. A lot of other people are indebted to both of you.
We're glad to be of help, sir.
Lucky you were in the neighborhood, mister. But how did you know they were going to rob Sandstone?
That was an accident. We were coming to find out why Sandstone had never been robbed by these outlaws.
Can't ask that question anymore.
No, we can't. I thought they might be citizens of your town. But nobody can identify this man.
Never seen him around these parts before.
And he's not talking.
Find anything in his belongings might identify him?
We searched his clothes and his saddle. Weren't nothing.
Except this, Sheriff. I noticed this was the brand on the horse he was riding.
Oh, Maggie Sawtelle's brand.
That's what it is, all right. That poor old woman has only a few head of cattle and some horses.
Sawtelle? Did you say she lives in this area?
Well, that's right. She lives all alone, about 5 miles east off the road.
What do you know about her, Sheriff?
Oh, nothing much. She keeps pretty much to herself. She moved in the neighborhood 2 years ago.
And she's moving out most any day. Maggie Sawtelle sold her farm.
Oh? You said she was an old woman. Does she handle the farm work all by herself?
Yeah. But there's something about Maggie. She's not what I'd call weak. It's not her muscles that are strong. She's sort of strong-willed and dominating. That's the feeling you get from her.
Perhaps Tonto and I had better ride out to that farm.
I'll go with...
You're in no condition to ride, Sheriff. I suggest you stay here and watch your prisoner. His friend might try to help him escape.
Well, you're right, I know. Go see if they bothered Maggie.
Don't you worry.
Adios, gentlemen.
Good hunting, mister.
I sure hope Maggie's all right.
She'd better be. I tell you, fella, anyone touches that poor old woman, I'd see him hang, higher than a cloud.
We ran into trouble, Aunt Maggie, bad trouble. They caught Benny.
Did anybody follow you here?
No, I've been doubling around. That's what took me so long.
Did Benny have the money when they caught him?
Well, no, I have it right here.
Oh, you brought it right to your old Aunt Maggie. Oh, you're a good boy, Peter.
What about Benny?
Oh, poor Benjamin. Well, I taught him enough so he wouldn't get in a fix like this. Maybe jail can teach him something I couldn't.
We can't run out on him now, Aunt Maggie. He's my brother.
We're not your brother's keepers. He must have done something stupid or he wouldn't have got caught. Besides, there's only 2 of us now, Peter.
What if Benny talks?
Benny won't talk. Not my Benjamin. He'd be too afraid to.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I reckon we'll miss Benjamin. He was a good boy. With a few changes, that'll fit you just fine, Peter.
Thank you, Aunt Maggie.
And there won't be any more misunderstandings between us, will there, boy?
No, ma'am.
All right, go and load that wagon. Careful how you pile on the furniture. The rest of our loot's packed under the load. Go on, start with that chair first. And do be careful, Peter. Who's coming?
The masked man and the engine, the two who caught Benny.
I thought you covered your trail.
Well, I did.
They're coming this way, all right.
Well, what are we going to do?
I'll handle them. Give me one of your guns. Now get in the kitchen and hide yourself, and don't show yourself until I call.
Well, what if they try and search the house?
They won't. I'll see to that. Move!
Kemo Sabe,
That looked like horse outlaw ride. We'd better be quiet. He may be holding the woman as hostage.
it looked quiet, Kemo Sabe.
Yes, Tonto. Too quiet. We'll go inside, but watch for trouble.
Come in.
Sorry to bother you, ma'am. Are you Maggie Sawtelle?
Yes, but are you outlaws?
Please don't let this mask frighten you. We're friends of Sheriff Taylor. He was worried about your safety and asked us to look in on you.
Oh, my goodness, I can take care of myself.
Well, I'm sure you can. 2 outlaws robbed the Wells Fargo office this morning.
Oh, how terrible.
We captured one of them. He was riding a horse bearing your brand.
Well, how could that be? Unless he stole it.
Wouldn't you know if one of your horses had been stolen?
Well, I haven't been out to the corral today. I've been too busy getting ready to move.
Then you don't know how that man got your horse?
Well, of course not. I just told you.
A horse belonging to the second outlaw is tied outside your house right now. You've been lying, haven't you, Mrs. Sawtelle?
What else could I do? I couldn't turn Peter and Benjamin over to the sheriff.
Are those the names of the 2 outlaws?
My nephews. I brought them up like my own sons. I did the best that I could do, but it wasn't good enough. They turned bad.
Then you know what they've done.
I haven't seen them since I moved to this farm. Then they rode in this morning and borrowed 2 horses and rode off again. I didn't know they were going to rob the Wells Fargo office.
Tell us the rest, Mrs. Sawtelle.
Well, Peter came back this afternoon and he told me they'd gotten into trouble, that Benjamin was in jail. Then he took his own horse and he rode off.
In which direction?
East, past the corral. I just couldn't turn him in. He was like my own son.
We should have no trouble following this trail, Tonto, if he rode away from here. We'll pick up his trail near the corral. Sorry we bothered you, ma'am.
Oh, wait. There's something else that you should know.
Oh? What's that?
Peter hid a sack in the woodshed just before he left, and from what you've told me, it might be the stolen money.
That's possible. We'd like to see that sack, if we may.
I'll show it to you.
Be right with you, Mrs. Sawtelle. Her nephew is still here. He wouldn't ride off without taking his saddle.
Old woman lie plenty.
Let's see what trick she's up to. Perhaps her nephew will show himself.
Me watch.
Good.
In here, mister. I'm not sure where he hid it. Probably among the kindling.
Perhaps I can find it.
Don't move, Jim. Not a sound out of you. Go on, get in there. Get in. Come on out, Peter. We can finish him off any time now.
Me big fool. See bandit, forget old woman behind me.
Don't blame yourself, Tonto. Neither of us suspected she had a gun.
Walls heavy wood, Kemo Sabe, can't break.
Even if we could, they'd be waiting outside with their guns.
Maybe you shoot hinges off door.
No, Tonto. That wouldn't help. The door is locked by a crossbeam latch. Listen.
Peter, hitch the team to the wagon. It's past our leaving time.
What are we going to do about them, Aunt Maggie?
Don't you worry. We'll take care of them.
Well, that masked man still has his guns. I'm not about to walk in there and face him.
Don't fret. We won't have to go into the shed. Hitch the team to the wagon. And bring me the base of a kerosene lamp.
She means to burn the shed. We have to find a way out. Hand me that axe.
We get out through a roof, Kemo Sabe?
We'll try.
Can you make hole big enough for men to pass through?
I think so, Tonto. But it'll make noise and attract their attention.
You not worry about noise. Me make plenty more.
Good.
Go on, boys. Try and break down the door. Oh, well, good it'll do you. Go on, go on. Work up a sweat.
I hitched the horses, Aunt Maggie, and put your trunk in the back of the wagon, so we're all set.
Good. Here's your gun. Now start splashing some of that kerosene all over the shed.
That's gonna burn real pretty.
Tonto!
What's the matter, boys? You're getting tired so soon? Go ahead, boy. Light it.
Let's turn them over to the sheriff, Tonto.
Next time, me take easy, John. Fight man. You fight woman.
I don't know how to thank you enough, mister. We'd have never thought of old Maggie Sawtelle as being the brains behind these robberies.
You'll see to the return of that stolen money we found in the wagon, Sheriff.
Every last nickel.
And you can bet the Sawtelles will be put away for a good long time.
In a way, I feel sorry for Pete and Benny. They never had a chance to be decent.
Yeah, Maggie trained them to be outlaws.
If they'd had a home and understanding parents, maybe things would have been different.
Well, no matter who's to blame, I don't mind admitting I'm glad the whole family's behind bars.
That's the only safe place for the Sawtelle family, that's sure.
The Sawtelle family would still be riding if it weren't for the masked man and that Injun. Who were they?
Don't you know?
The Indian's name is Tonto.
But the masked man, why, they call him the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger. A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Hi-Yo Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
One of nature's most terrifying forces is drought. Here on Sunstroke Mesa, no rain had fallen for months. The hot, scorching sun beat down mercilessly, laying men and cattle prostrate. Prayers for rain were on the lips of everyone as the drought spread like a plague.
I'm telling you, Vic, this drought's been special made just for us. Mesa City's like a ghost town. This heat's driving everybody off the street. By the time the sheriff gets up a posse, we'll be halfway across the mesa. And tracking us won't be easy.
Matt's right. That Sunstroke Mesa land's hard as a rock.
Matt's right. Matt's always right, isn't he, kid?
Lay off him, Vic.
Why? Because he's your nephew? Because he nods his head like a dummy every time you open your mouth?
I said lay off.
Sure, Matt, sure. Take it easy, I was only joking.
You gotta understand how I feel. I'm proud of that kid. I taught him everything he knows, and I taught him good. Ain't that right, Johnny?
You bet, Matt.
While you're getting the supplies, Tonto, I'll take this money to the lawyer's office. Then I'll meet you back here.
Now, you remember Lone Ranger say not tell who money from.
Sure, Tonto. You know I always try to do what my uncle tells me.
Me know. Me just make sure.
Mr. Croft?
That's my name, boy. What's on your mind?
My name's Dan Reid, sir. I've come to make a donation. A friend of mine wanted me to be sure you get this money. He knows how important the irrigation project is.
Well, say, it'll be a lifesaver, all right. And once it's done, the Mesa farmer will have enough water to see him through droughts like this. Who did you say was making this donation?
I didn't. It's my friend's wish to remain unknown.
Say, well, it seems to be quite a sizable amount. I'd better get it into the safe right off.
Well, sir, I better be going.
Riding out again in this hot sun?
Yes, sir. It's not too far to camp.
Well, I'm much obliged to you, boy. And tell your friend, whoever he is, it's a mighty decent thing he's doing.
I'd be glad to.
Hold it. If you make a move, I'll kill you. That means you too, Slim. Keep him covered.
Look, irrigation is the only hope we got to save in our land. Stealing that money is worse than murder.
Just you stay quiet, Slim. Come on, let's go.
You all right, sir?
Yeah, I'm all right. Come on. Let's go.
We've got to get after them.
There's nobody in town even saddled up in this heat. They've got too much of a start.
My horse is saddled. I'll try and follow them.
But,
What happened, Croft?
some no-accounts held us up and stole the irrigation fund. That nervy young fella took off after them alone.
He won't stand a chance.
If they reach Sunstroke Mesa, you know how tough it'll be to track them.
Yes, I know. That's our job. All right, man, saddle up. Let's go.
Tonto, you've ridden hard. Is something wrong?
Me bring bad news from town, Kemo Sabe.
Where's Dan?
Him go after outlaws. Me not have chance to stop him.
Outlaws? What happened, Tonto?
While me go into store after supplies, Dan take money to Lawyer Croft.
Yes, go on.
At same time, 3 outlaws ride into town, follow Dan into office. Rob Lawyer of irrigation money.
If that project isn't built by planting time next year, the farmers in this area will be completely ruined.
That's right, Kemo Sabe.
Did Dan go after these outlaws alone?
Him go alone.
That was very brave of him, but a very foolish act on his part. We must find Dan before any harm comes to him.
Outlaws head in direction of Sunstroke Mesa. It's plenty hard to find trail there.
Yes, Tonto. Dan doesn't realize how treacherous that sun can be. We'd better hurry.
What's the matter, Johnny?
I'm sorry, Matt. I can't go any further.
Sure you can. You gotta.
I can't. I gotta rest.
I told you it was no good taking him along. If we stop now, that posse will catch us sure.
Those rocks over there. If the posse catches us, we can fight them off from there.
Tie his horse out of sight, Vic. Get off, Johnny.
What are you gonna do?
Look, Johnny, there's no sense in all of us getting caught. There's a lot of money in that sack.
Matt, you're not gonna leave me.
Sorry, kid. You'll have to take your chances. Vic and me will come back for you if we can shake that posse.
But what if they catch me?
They won't. Not if you stay out of sight behind these rocks.
Matt, please.
Just take it easy, kid, and stay out of the sun. If we can, we'll come back for you.
Please, Matt. Don't leave me, Matt. Please don't leave me. Matt! Please, Matt! Matt!
Easy, fella. You'll be all right. How'd you get shot?
I was on my way back from Mesa City. 3 outlaws spotted me and started taking pot shots.
You live around here?
Yeah, with my uncle on the other side of the mesa.
Lucky you weren't killed.
Yeah, with that sun up there, I reckon I would have died anyways if you hadn't found me.
Think you can make it to those rocks over there?
Yeah, I think so. Where are you going?
Get some first aid equipment out of my saddlebag. That arm of yours needs looking after. I'll be right back.
What's your name?
Dan. Dan Reid.
I'm Johnny Barton.
Glad to know you, Johnny.
Same here. You a doctor or something?
No, but a friend of mine taught me first aid.
Meanwhile, far back on the scorched mesa, the Lone Ranger and Tonto continued their search.
Me sorry, Kemo Sabe. This ground too hard to show tracks.
Yes, Tonto, I know. And yet I feel that Dan and the outlaws are on the mesa somewhere. Let's go.
That tasted good, Dan. You're a mighty fair cook.
Thanks, Johnny.
You know, I don't get it. How come you're doing all this for me? What's your angle?
Well, does there have to be an angle?
My uncle says nobody does anything for nothing.
You know, you've been doing an awful lot of talking about this uncle of yours. Ever figure he could be wrong?
Not Matt. He's never wrong.
What's he raised you to be, Johnny? A rancher? Or what?
This gun will get me anything I need.
Do you really believe that? Or is this your uncle talking again?
Well, what if it is?
You know, Johnny, there's something he forgot to teach you.
Yeah, what's that?
How to think for yourself.
You sound like a preacher.
I'm serious. Everything you say is something your uncle told you. How about your own ideas? Well, what do you think?
Look, don't worry about me. I'll do all right.
Maybe.
Maybe nothing. A man's as big as his gun. See that tin can out there?
Mm-hmm. What's that supposed to prove?
Proves I can take care of myself.
Can you do any better?
Possibly.
How'd you ever learn to shoot like that?
My friend taught me a few things besides first aid, Johnny.
That posse from Mesa City, Kemo Sabe.
They're heading back to town, Tonto. Giving up the search.
Sunstroke Mesa, a plenty bad place to find trail.
Yes, Tonto. That's why they used it. We've got to find Dan.
It'll soon be dark.
If we don't find Dan by nightfall, we'll camp here in the mesa and continue our search in the morning.
We find him, Kemo Sabe.
If Dan falls into the hands of those outlaws, he'll be in great danger. Come on, Tonto.
Dan, you better be getting on home. Your friends will be worried about you.
Expecting your two friends back?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. The men you were with when you held up Laura Croft and stole the irrigation money.
How'd you know?
You're not a very good liar, Johnny.
What do you plan on doing about it?
You're the one that has to do something about it.
Yeah, like what?
Go back with me. Give yourself up.
You sure must think I'm awful dumb.
No, Johnny. I'm hoping you'll be smart. If you're not, you'll be running forever until you're caught and strung up.
Maybe. Maybe not. You don't really figure they'd give me a break after helping in that robbery.
That robbery in Mesa City, was that your first crime?
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll get a break. Lawmen are human, Johnny. You'll get another chance. Look, Johnny, you and I are about the same age. With the wrong kind of guidance, I could just as easily be in your boots. I know if I were, and I had a chance to start over again, I'd sure jump at it.
Yeah?
You can stop the sermon now, sonny boy.
Matt!
Hiya, Johnny. I told you we'd be back. Who's your friend?
Name's Dan Reid. He saved my life.
Well, that was real nice of him.
Yeah, wasn't it? And from what we just heard, it sounds like he's trying to save your soul, too. Real pretty talk.
Not pretty, mister. Just the truth.
Don't hurt him, Uncle Matt. You wouldn't listen to me. I told you to get out.
What do you want to do with him, Matt?
I'm going to take him with us as insurance. Is that all right with you, Johnny?
Anything you say, Matt.
You ready?
Sure, Matt.
We'll head north across the mesa, then through Sutter Canyon. That'll get us out of the territory by sunup tomorrow. Come on.
Now what's the matter?
My horse has gone lame.
First you and then your horse. We're never gonna get anywhere riding double.
We won't have to. Get off your horse, kid. Come on, get off your horse.
What are you gonna do?
You need pictures? You're taking his horse.
But Matt, this sun, it'll kill him. We can't leave him out here.
Why not? He'll make good buzzard bait.
But Matt, he saved my life.
Come on, kid. We got a sack full of money that needs spending.
What are you waiting for? Mount that horse. I said get mounted.
I'm not going, Matt.
What?
I said I'm not going.
Maybe you taught him too good, Matt. He's getting ideas of his own.
Look, kid. You do what I say.
Not anymore, Matt. I'm through listening to you.
Why, you ungrateful little punk!
Let him alone.
Get over here, kid. Hurry up. Vic, bring me your rope.
What are you gonna do?
You made your choice, kid. You want to stay, you're staying.
He's your own kin. You can't leave him out here.
Can't I? Just you watch me, Sonny. Tie him up, Vic.
I'm sorry, Dan. I really got you into something.
Don't start feeling sorry, Johnny. We're not through yet.
You figure your friends might find us?
I sure do. But it won't hurt to try and help a little.
Help? How can you do that?
I can't. But maybe Victor can. Good boy, Victor. Now go find Silver.
You really think you can bring him back?
I don't know, Johnny. But it's sure worth a try.
That sun's awful hot. I sure wish there was something we could do.
There is.
What?
We could pray.
Tonto, look. Victor. What's the matter, boy? Where's Dan?
He wants us to follow Kemo Sabe.
Yes, Tonto. Let's hope we're not too late. Come on, boy. Lead us on. Come on, Victor. Get Dan, boy. Dan, you all right?
Sure. Take care of Johnny.
Who is this young fellow?
He's one of the outlaws who stole the irrigation fund. It's a long story, sir. The other two are headed for Sutter's Canyon.
We passed through there many times, Kemo Sabe.
Yes, Tonto. I'll go after them. I know a shortcut. You take care of Dan and Johnny.
We meet in Mesa City?
Right.
never be able to thank you enough for recovering that irrigation money, mister.
It isn't thanks we want, Mr. Croft. The Mesa City farmers are vitally important to this territory.
Dan Reid told us what young Johnny here did. I think we can get him off with a light sentence.
I'm ready to take my punishment, Sheriff. I got it coming. If it hadn't been for Dan, it'd been a lot worse.
Staying with him on the Mesa took a lot of courage, Johnny. But you made the right decision, and you'll never regret it. Good luck to you, son.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, Johnny.
Thanks a lot, Dan, for everything.
Adios, my friends.
Goodbye. Now, if you had an uncle like Dan's friend, son, you'd be a lucky boy.
I sure would. Who is he, anyhow?
Didn't Dan tell you?
No, but he's sure proud of him.
He should be. The masked man is the Lone Ranger.
Hail Silver! The Lone Ranger. Hail Silver! A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver. The Lone Ranger. Hi-Yo Silver! Away! With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
On the maps of southwestern America, the desert that stretched for 90 miles north of Las Cruces was called Jornada Del Muerto, which in English means the journey of the dead man. And this may have been the reason for the name. It all began on an April day as an army courier rode through Apache country toward the fort at San Marcial.
Silver.
Kulalay. Dokemgalo. Makenga.
He's wounded badly, Tonto.
Me go after the men who shot him?
Oh, we'll go after them later. Right now, this fellow needs our attention. We'll get him over there in the shade. You get some bandages from the saddlebag. He's coming around, Tonto.
Here, canteen, Kemo Sabe.
Mask. Now, you take it easy, soldier. We're here to help you. That's enough. Thanks. Have you any idea why this attack was made on you?
No. Not unless they wanted to rob me. There's nothing strange about Apaches attacking a white man.
True, but the Apaches in this territory belong to the Mescalero tribe. And Chief Lazito has signed a peace treaty with the government.
Maybe them not Mescalero Apaches, Kemo Sabe.
They were Mescaleros, all right. I remember. I thought at the time the leader could have been a white man. His skin was lighter than it should have been.
Did you notice anything else about him?
Yeah, he had a scar. A half-moon-shaped scar on his left cheek.
Crazy wolf.
Yes, Tonto. It looks as though we may be close to catching up with him at last.
You men know him?
Him renegade. White outlaw who lived with Apaches for many years. At one time, him lieutenant to Geronimo.
You see, the Apaches gave him the name of Crazy Wolf when they adopted him into the tribe. His real name is Cantrell. After he left Geronimo, he went to Kansas. When the law closed in on him there, he disappeared. I might have guessed he'd seek refuge with the Apaches again.
Maybe we can get after him.
Young fellow, you're in no condition to go after anybody.
I feel fine. I'm just a little weak.
Kemo Sabe.
I think you'll be all right, Tonto. He may be unconscious for some time. You'd better take him back to the fort. Then I'll... Soldier, Tonto. Holster your gun.
All right, what's going on here?
We're glad you came by, Lieutenant.
I bet you're glad. Drop your guns.
You not understand.
No?
Courier was shot by a band of Apaches. We bandaged his wound.
You bandaged him? What's the idea of the mask?
I have good reason for keeping my identity hidden. Perhaps your commanding officer at the fort, Colonel Rice, has spoken of...
Colonel Rice has been recalled to Washington. Major Trask is in command at San Marcial.
Unfortunately, I'm not acquainted with Major Trask.
Well, you'll have a chance to meet him soon enough. Pick up the soldier.
Lieutenant, it's absolutely essential I speak with the chief of the Mescaleros at once.
Maybe so, mister, but I have my orders. The rule book says we're to bring in all suspicious characters for questioning.
Someday, Lieutenant, you'll probably learn that past orders don't always cover new situations. The good officer is one who can also make decisions for himself.
Pick him up.
Ready, Tonto?
Be ready, Kemo Sabe.
Get a rope, Tonto, and tie his hands, but not too tightly.
I won't forget this, mister.
You tie hands.
You'll be able to work yourself free in a few minutes, Lieutenant. Then you can take the courier back to the fort. And now, if you'll excuse us.
Camp of Lucito only short distance away, Kemo Sabe.
Yes, Tonto. I can't understand why we haven't met any of his lookout.
Kemo Sabe, that Juan, grandson of Lucito.
Greetings, Juan. We've traveled many miles. We wish to see Lucito.
Lucito not well. You go back now.
To turn friends away who come in peace is unworthy of a mescalero. Distrust rests only in the false heart, like that of Crazy Wolf.
Crazy Wolf, my friend. Crazy Wolf, great warrior. You go back.
I'm also your friend, Juan. A better one, I think, than Crazy Wolf. And I don't believe the grandson of Lucito would shoot a friend in the back. Tonto?
Tahemka. Lucito.
My friends.
Greetings, Lucito.
Many moons passed since last meeting with Mastermind and Tonto.
I hope there have been peaceful moons for you, Lucito.
Mescaleros no longer go on warpath. Signed treaty with white man.
And yet a white soldier was shot today. By Mescaleros.
Shot. Me not believe. Masked friend make mistake.
There was no mistake. The attack was made by two of your braves, and it was led by Crazy Wolf. Does Crazy Wolf ride with your tribe now?
Why you ask that question?
Because Crazy Wolf is a dangerous man. A man who could turn your braves into thieves and murderers like himself. And because he is a white man, he must be taken back to face white man's justice.
Taken back by you, mister?
By me, Cantrell.
No. Crazy Wolf, white by birth. Apache by choice. Apache not go to white man's court.
And where does that leave you, mister?
Sholetaho. Masked man and Tonto, my friends. While Lucito chief, them not be harmed. Lucito old, sick. Want see all men be friends. All men.
Kemo Sabe, look like him have fever.
How long have you had this illness, Lucito?
Many days. Fire in stomach, fire in head.
He'll be better soon. I've been giving him special medicine. Apache medicine.
In the town of Las Cruces, past the desert, there is a hospital. Go to the doctor's there.
Las Cruces far away.
If you need help to get there, ask for it at the fort.
Don't listen to him, Luzito. If you go to the fort, you'll be jailed. If you go to the hospital, you'll be killed.
Me not know. Luzito wants sleep. Luzito tired.
We'll be leaving now, Luzito. But I ask you to remember what I've said. Come on, Tonto.
No doubt we'll meet again, mister.
No doubt at all, Cantrell. Well, Tonto, at least we aren't being followed.
What we do, Kemo Sabe? Luzito not give Crazy Wolf to us, and if Luzito die...
The important thing at the moment is to see that the men at the fort treat Luzito right if he decides to go there. Perhaps you'd better ride to San Marshal. Try to arrange an appointment with Major Trask for me. I'll meet you at camp.
You think Major Trask fair, man?
I hope so, Tonto. I certainly hope so.
Lieutenant, I still do not understand. Never in my years of service have I had an officer of mine overcome by having dirt thrown in his face.
It won't happen again, Major Trask. Incidentally, sir, I sent the courier on to the hospital in Las Cruces as you ordered.
Huh.
I hope his dispatch doesn't contain bad news.
Bad enough, Lieutenant. I've been requested to report personally to the commanding general in Santa Fe. With Captain Casey and Captain Getting on maneuvers, you will be the senior officer here.
Me, sir, but I...
Well, see who it is.
Yes, sir.
And order a horse saddle for me.
Yes, sir. You!
We want to talk to Major Trask.
Major, this is the Indian I was telling you about. The one with the masked man.
Well, I'll be.
Major Trask, masked friend want to talk to you.
Don't tell me he's going to drop in, too.
If he does, sir, I'd like the personal pleasure of putting him in irons.
You certainly have my permission to do that, Lieutenant. In the meantime, put this fellow in the guardhouse.
You let me explain. Masked man want to tell you about Mescalero Chief.
No one has to tell me anything about the Mescaleros. I'll deal with you and your friend when I return from Santa Fe. Take him away, Lieutenant. Yes? Oh, Lieutenant. Is my horse saddled yet?
Yes, sir, but...
But what?
Well, sir, there are 2 more Indians to see you.
2 more? What is this, a trading post?
The oldest one, sir, wants a wagon to take him across the desert to Las Cruces.
You're joking.
No, sir.
All right. Send him in.
Well, as a matter of fact, Major, that one, the oldest one, isn't feeling too well. He's in the stockade, sitting against the wall.
And what's the other one doing, Lieutenant? Playing cards with a cook?
No, sir. He's out in the hall.
Get him in here.
Yes, sir. Come in.
Well, now, what's all this about a wagon?
Me sorry, Major. Me good Indian. Not want make trouble.
All right. Get on with it.
My friend. Him drink much firewater. Him...
You mean he's drunk?
Me come with him here. Think maybe soldier put him in jail for a while, so him not get hurt.
Why do these things have to happen to me? We'll put him in jail, all right. Lieutenant, take care of it. Well, what are you waiting for?
Migo.
I'll be back in 2 or 3 days. And when I return, I want to see everything exactly the same as when I left.
Yes, sir.
Luzito. Lieutenant, wait.
Major Trask orders, Indian.
But you don't understand. Wait.
Masked man say we get help here. Him not tell truth. Masked man die. All white soldiers, settlers die.
My friend come here soon. Look for me. Him help you then.
Not come. Crazy Wolf on way to Indian camp. Call all tribes to war.
By nightfall, the throb of Apache war drums had started. and even Tonto had begun to despair. Then suddenly,
Kemo Sabe.
Tonto, what went wrong?
Lieutenant we meet on range recognized me. Major Trask not let me explain.
I don't like the sound of those drums.
Them call Apaches together. Mescaleros come get Lucito.
Lucito here? In the guardhouse?
Him very sick. Unconscious now.
We must get him out of here at once.
Kemo Sabe. Lieutenant come.
Don't move, mister. Well, the guard told me you thought he heard someone out here.
Lieutenant, I wonder if you realize the danger you're in. You hear those drums? They signify a declaration of war against this fort and every settler in the territory.
Why should the Apaches want to make war?
Because you have the chief of the Mescaleros locked up.
You mean the old Indian who came here this afternoon?
Lazito thought the white soldiers would take him to the hospital in Las Cruces.
I did ask for a wagon. The Indian with him said he was drunk.
Drunk? He's a very sick man. He may be dying. I'd better see him at once.
Now, wait a minute.
The man may be dying, Lieutenant.
Give me your keys and return to your post.
What do you think, Kemo Sabe?
The heartbeat and breathing are far below normal. I believe you'll be all right. Lieutenant, we'll need a wagon and horses. Tonto and I will take him to Las Cruces ourselves.
I can't allow that, mister. Major Trask left definite orders.
It's your decision, Lieutenant. It must be. But let me remind you once again. The good officer is one who can adapt himself to new situations without the aid of a rule book.
What if I let you go? I'll be court-martialed.
And if you keep us here, hundreds of men and women will be killed by the Mescaleros.
Kemo Sabe, drums stop.
That means they'll be on their way soon. Well, Lieutenant?
I'll arrange to have a wagon made ready immediately.
Thank you.
But if the war party comes, who's to stop the Apaches from attacking the fort?
You are?
Me?
When the Indians arrive, you're to ride out by yourself, with your hand raised.
The sign of peace.
They won't do anything until they have heard what you have to say. Tell them you apologize on behalf of all the white soldiers, and their chief is on his way to Las Cruces.
But they'll come after you.
Let them.
Right. Good luck.
Same to you, Lieutenant. Give me a hand, Tonto.
soon afterward, the start across the desert was made. By dawn, over half the distance to Las Cruces had been covered. But as the sun rose higher, it finally became necessary to stop at one of the rare desert water holes.
Any change in the chief, Tonto?
No.
We'll rest here.
Kemo Sabe, you think Mescaleros come? Me hear horses, maybe 3 or 4.
Well, there's nothing to do but to wait here for them.
Where is Zito?
He's in the wagon.
I did what you suggested. These two said they'd come after you to make sure that Lazito was alive. The rest have the fort surrounded, but they promised to wait until the young fellow there reports back to them.
Lazito dead.
No, Juan.
Lazito died at fort.
All right, if that's what you want to believe. He's dead. But the doctors at Las Cruces, they make great magic. They can bring your grandfather back to life.
Juan, the doctors have no magic.
Do you want to lose your grandfather, Juan?
No.
Then give me the chance to prove I'm telling the truth. Las Cruces is just a few miles away. Let me take Lazito on to the hospital there.
You take him. Juan and Crazy Wolf make camp here. We keep Tonto with us. We wait for message from you. If Luzito do not come back to life, Tonto die first, then all white soldiers at the fort.
I'll be back with good news before sundown. Let's go, Lieutenant.
It's been a long fight, but he'll recover.
Had he been poisoned?
Oh, you knew about that.
I had my suspicions.
Actually, he's a very lucky man. This poison was evidently administered in small doses over a long period of time. Consequently, he's developed a certain immunity.
So Crazy Wolf defeated himself.
Well, if you'll excuse me.
Certainly. It'll be dark soon. I'd better return at once to Juan with the news about Luzito.
I'll stay here with the old man.
Good.
I hope Tonto's all right.
Yes, so do I.
You sleep long time. Sun go down soon. Me think Luzito not come back to life.
Where Crazy Wolf?
Me not know. Think maybe him take trail that go to hospital.
Kemo Sabe come back along same trail. Maybe Crazy Wolf try to kill him.
You not move.
Crazy Wolf dangerous man, Juan.
Him my friend.
Now you walk up trail ahead of me. We go find Crazy Wolf. Listen.
So you wanted to kill me before I could reach Juan with the news that Luzito was out of danger?
Maybe.
We'd learned he'd been poisoned. Was that your work?
Well, what if it was, mister?
You were a fool, Cantrell. Even if you succeeded in killing Luzito, the Mescaleros would have never made you their chief.
I didn't want to be chief. That pinhead Juan would have done anything I wanted him to. Maybe he will yet.
He will? Let's find out. Tonto? Juan?
What? You tried to kill Luzito?
Mister! No one. He must be taken back to White Man's court.
Did they kill him?
He'll probably be hanged.
You take.
Let's go, Cantrell.
I'm not sure I understand it all yet. You say the Apaches were about to declare war while I was away?
That's right, Major. And I can assure you that Lieutenant Wilson had a great deal to do with averting that war.
Well, evidently, you saved me from making a terrible mistake, Lieutenant. Perhaps captain's bars would serve as partial repayment?
Thank you, sir.
Major, I'm glad to hear you admit that your haste in dealing with Chief Luzito was wrong. Not only must the Indians learn to deal fairly with the settlers, but we in return must learn to be fair and honest with them.
I'll do my best from now on.
I know you will, sir. And now that the Mescaleros have returned home, and Cantrell has been returned to Kansas for trial, it's time Tonto and I were on our way.
You make journey of dead man?
Yes, Juan, I think so. Adios.
The journey of the dead man? What's that?
That what Indians call desert now. Them say Luzito dead when masked man take him to Las Cruces.
Wow.
Me not know. But me know this. Luzito die. Many men die. Except for help of Lone Ranger.
I don't
the Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo Silver, the Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
All right, how much longer?
Just a couple of minutes, boss.
Lasco!
Yes, Mr. Gage?
I have to get back to the office. What's delaying them?
Well, we have to make sure that all the explosives are set in just the right places. Otherwise, the tunnel you want may not get opened up.
How big will it be?
Big enough for a man to walk through with his arms loaded with gold ore. That's what you want, isn't it?
Yes, but will it reach all the way through to the next mine, the Queen Bee?
Oh, it can't miss. The nearest tunnel to the Queen Bee is due east about 4 more feet through that wall.
All set to go, boss.
How's that, Mr. Gage?
Perfect. You understand the procedure to follow now.
We dig the high-grade ore out of this mine, carry it through the tunnel, and bring it up through the Queen Bee.
You sure you can trust your men not to talk about this?
I handpicked every one of them, and you're paying them plenty. They'll take orders.
Good. Any more questions before I go?
Just one.
Yes?
What do you stand to gain out of all this, Mr. Gage?
What do you mean?
Well, that mine there, the Mary Bell. That's owned by somebody named Farnham, isn't it?
By Mrs. Henry Farnham of San Francisco, one of my richest clients.
And this mine here, the Queen Bee, that's owned by some corporation or other, right? So, where's your profit?
That corporation, my naive friend, is a dummy. Set up by a very smart lawyer named Gage.
So that's it. You own the Queen Bee.
And I expect to own that mine soon, too. Then that tunnel won't be necessary.
Do you think old Lady Farnham will be willing to sell?
When I write her that the mine's running dry, she won't have much choice. Oh, one more thing. I want you to line the walls of that new tunnel with some more blasting powder.
What for? We just blew it open. You want us to blow it shut again?
I may. If the law ever learns about that tunnel, Lasco, we could get in a lot of trouble. Unless we can destroy it as fast as we created it.
You think of everything, don't you?
I try to. And now I better get to work on that letter to Mrs. Farnham. The sooner she gives me the word to sell, the sooner I can take over the mine for myself.
Well, Tonto, you certainly got back from Silver City quickly. Have things quieted down there?
No, Kemo Sabe. Old town's still celebrating that we capture Fargo gang.
Will our testimony be needed at the trial?
No, them plead guilty already. Oh, me almost forgot. Sheriff give me this letter for you. It came this morning. Person who sent it asked Sheriff to hold it for you.
It's from Mrs. Henry Farnham in San Francisco.
What her letter say, Kemo Sabe?
Dear friend, knowing how you have helped my husband and me in the past, I appeal for your aid now. When Henry died, he left me a valuable gold mine near Ashcroft, Colorado, the Marybelle. He assured me that it would support me for the rest of my life. But now I've just received word from Henry's representative in Ashcroft that the mine is running dry and that I'd be wiser to sell it.
That's not unusual, Kemo Sabe. Plenty mines run dry.
That's true, Tonto. But Henry Farnham was an expert in his profession. If he said that mine would be good for years to come, you can count on his being right.
What her ask you to do, Kemo Sabe?
My son Jim is on his way to Ashcroft to inspect the Marybelle. He's a mining engineer like his father, fresh out of college. I'd appreciate any help you can give him. He'll reach Ashcroft Friday.
We go there to meet him, Kemo Sabe?
Yes, Tonto. I want to be sure that young Jim makes out all right.
Just look at that ore. That's the finest grade ore I ever saw in my life.
And plenty more where it came from. You must be getting rich, boss.
Rich enough. All right, carry those sacks up to the surface through the Queen Bee and then come back for more.
Right.
Vasco. Oh, Mr. Gage. Must be mighty important to bring you out here during working hours.
We're in trouble.
What kind?
I just got a letter from Old Lady Farnham. She won't give the go-ahead signal on selling the mine till after her son comes out here to inspect it. He's on his way now.
Well, what's so bad about that? Some tenderfoot who's wet behind the ears? How's he gonna know whether the ore is good or not?
He happens to be a mining engineer.
Oh, we are in trouble. If he ever sees the walls of this mine, we're through.
If he sees the walls of this mine.
What do you mean?
Lasco, I understand that you're a pretty good marksman with a rifle.
I've never missed a target yet.
Even a moving target? Say a man riding in a stagecoach?
I've done it before. I can do it again.
The stagecoach is due on Friday. Now pick your time and place. If your aim is good, there'll be a bonus for you in your pay envelope. A big one.
My aim will be good, Mr. Gage.
Oh, my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Oh, here, let me.
Thank you so much.
They must be quite important. You haven't stopped writing since you got on at Center City.
Oh, that's just because I'm trying to finish my story before we reach Ashcroft.
Your story?
Of course. I've been doing a series of articles on the Fargo gang and those two wonderful men I met in Center City. Well, they've been front page news.
I'm afraid I don't quite follow you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Mary Tanner. My father's the editor of the newspaper in Ashcroft. When he heard the Fargo gang had been captured and taken to Center City, he sent me over there to cover the story. I stayed on for a couple of weeks for the trial, but they pleaded guilty.
That's quite an assignment for a girl.
Oh, I've been a reporter for years.
And you got a good story?
A wonderful one. Oh, you should have seen the two men who captured the gang.
Two men captured a whole gang?
That's right. One was an Indian and the other wore a mask. You mean you've never heard of the Lone Ranger?
Oh, him, yes, of course. My father used to talk about him a lot. They knew each other once. I'm Jim Farnham. My mother owns the Maribel mine.
Oh, it's a pity you don't own the Queen Bee mine right next to yours. I hear it's been producing a lot more ore than the Maribel recently.
You don't say. Who does own it?
Oh, some corporation or other.
And after I got my degree, I figured it was time I made use of what I'd learned. My dad was a fine engineer. I hope I'm half as good.
I'm sure you will be.
You know, I love this country. I like the bigness of it and the greenness. I like everything about it, especially the people.
Look, Kemo Sabe, runaway stagecoach.
Come on.
Oh, thank heavens it's you.
Miss Tanner.
This young man's been shot. Will you please help me with him? I'm afraid he may be dead. The bullet went right toward his heart.
He's a long way from being dead, Miss Tanner. Now, this is what saved his life. He's a lucky fellow. Whoever fired at him was certainly a sharpshooter.
Oh.
Now, take it easy. You're all right.
That mask. You shot me.
No, Mr. Farnham, this isn't the man who shot you. He's the one I saw in Center City. He's on our side of the law.
The man my father used to know? Then you certainly are my friend. But who did shoot me and why?
That's something we'd better find out fast before they try it again. Have you any idea where that shot came from?
I caught a glimpse of a man riding off from that ridge about a half a mile back. I couldn't see who he was.
Do you know anyone who would want to kill you?
Not a soul. I've never been in this territory before.
Who knew you were coming here?
The only one we notified was Luther Gage, my mother's representative in Ashcroft. Of course, he may have told many people. There was no secret about it.
How much do you know about him?
He's one of the most respected and best-liked citizens of our town.
She's right, mister. I have no reason to mistrust Gage. He's always done a fine job in handling Dad's affairs out here.
Then someone was certainly anxious to get you out of the way. And until we find out who that someone is, your life will be in constant danger.
What do we do then?
I suggest that you and Miss Tanner go on to Ashcroft. Report this to the sheriff and Mr. Gage.
But what about you? Won't you come with us? This is going to be another wonderful front-page story for my father's newspaper.
We'll meet you there later. Right now, Tonto and I will go after the trail of the men who ambushed Jim. It may lead us to the answers to a lot of questions. Miss Tanner?
Kemo Sabe. Man, stop here.
You're right, Tonto. He could have had a perfect shot at the coach from this spot.
Him go this way.
Here's where he mounted his horse.
Look, Kemo Sabe. Left front foot of horse plenty lame. Have loose shoe.
We're in luck, Tonto. That should slow him down wherever he's going.
Tracks go in that direction.
Yes, towards the town of Ashcroft. The same place where Farnham and Miss Tanner are headed. Tonto, if your horse went lame, where's the first place you'd go when you got back to town?
I may go to blacksmith, have new shoe put on.
Exactly. I think we'd better pay a visit to the blacksmith in Ashcroft. We might find a horse with a lame front foot. Come on.
Moscow, what took you so long?
My horse went lame. I had to leave him at the blacksmith shop to be shod.
Never mind about the horse. What happened with young Farnham?
You mean the late young Farnham?
Then he's dead? You're sure?
Like I said, Mr. Gage, I don't miss. One shot and he was done for.
I wish you weren't so cocksure of yourself. It makes me nervous.
Well, if you're so worried, take a look out the window. That sounds like the stage coming in now. Any sign of him?
Yes. I take it he's the young man sitting next to Mary Tanner.
But it can't be. My rifle was aimed right at his heart. He's got to be dead.
And I presume that's his ghost who just arrived in town. You fool. So you never miss. Well, you missed this time, and we're up to our necks in trouble.
I don't understand. I saw him get hit.
There they go into the sheriff's office. That means the law moves in. If they link that ambush to me, we're both finished.
I don't see where we're in such bad trouble, Mr. Gage. So I missed on my first try. But that don't mean I can't try again. And this time I won't miss.
You not only won't miss, you won't try.
Well, what do you mean?
Young Mr. Farnham's no fool. He's been shot at once. He'll be on his guard against a second try. And so will the sheriff.
But we have to get rid of him. You said so yourself, else he'll find out about the mine.
We'll get rid of him, all right. But we can't let it look like murder. Not if we want to come out of this with a clean bill of health.
Well, what other way is there?
A very simple way. Young Mr. Farnham will meet with an unfortunate accident. The kind that happens every day to people in his profession.
I don't get you.
He came here to inspect his mother's mine, didn't he? Very well, we'll let him inspect it to his heart's content.
But that tunnel we blew open, he'll see it.
Exactly. And it's all lined with blasting powder. Wouldn't it be regrettable if it were to suddenly cave in on him while he were examining it? We couldn't be blamed for that, could we?
I sure got to hand it to you, Mr. Gage. It's the perfect way. Hey, he's coming out of the sheriff's office. He's headed over here.
Good. Get on your horse and meet me at the mine as soon as you can.
But supposing he don't want to inspect the mine right away?
I think I can persuade him to. After all, that's what he's here for. Come in.
Hello, Mr. Gage?
Yes.
I'm Henry Farnham's son.
Jim Farnham. Well, well, well. Welcome to Ashcroft. I can't tell you how glad I am to meet you.
Mind if we ask you a few questions?
Hold on a minute, mister. I promised to have this shoe ready by now.
It's that shoe we've come to ask you about.
There we are. Matt, don't come any closer.
Put down those tongs and you won't get hurt.
If you're fixing to rob me, mister, you picked on a mighty poor man.
We're not thieves. As I said before, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Then why the mask? Only honest man I ever heard of that wore a mask is a man called the Lone Ranger. He captured a gang over near Center City last week. Now, don't try to tell me you're him.
Do you fire a silver bullet like this one?
Say, you are him. Mister, ask me any question you want.
All I'd like to know is, who owns this horse with the lame foot?
That one? Oh, that belongs to Pete Lasco. He just brought it in a little while ago.
Who Pete Lasco?
He's foreman of the Marybelle Mine engine. Works for Luther Gage.
Luther Gage? Tonto, it looks as if Mr. Gage is not an honest man.
You think him send Lasco to ambush Jim Farnham?
Ambush? What are you two talking about? Gage is an honest man. So's Lasco. Why, they wouldn't ambush anybody.
They already have. Tonto, we'd better find Jim. If he's gone to see Gage, he may be facing the worst danger of his life.
You're right, Kemo Sabe. We go quick.
You're not going anywhere, Injun. Neither are you, mister. Drop those guns quick.
Pete, what's the meaning of this? Did you hear what they said about you?
Yeah, I heard. I'm only sorry you heard it too, Barney.
Well, what do you mean?
Because now you know too much for your own good, just like they do. Now get those hands up, all three of you.
You can't shoot all three of us in cold blood, Lasco. How would you explain our deaths?
Easy. I saw poor old Barney here being held up by a masked man and Injun. I went to his rescue. But I was too late. They shot him, and I shot them. You're right to worry about young Farnham, mister. By now, he's halfway to the Marybelle Mine with Mr. Gage. Once he gets there, he's never going to leave alive. Now get those hands back up!
Whatever you say, Lasco. Quick thinking, mister.
I sure hope I never have that close a call again.
Tonto, tie him up and take him to the sheriff's office. I'll head for the Marybelle.
This is where we used to dig the highest grade ore. If you'll examine the walls, you'll see how inferior it is now.
Where does this tunnel lead?
Oh, just a new one we blasted through the other day, looking for some fresh veins of gold. No luck, though. The walls were bled dry. See for yourself.
don't understand this, Mr. Gage. You said the grade of ore was getting worse. This seems like fine, high-grade ore to me.
It is fine, high-grade ore.
Then why did you write my mother that it was... What's the matter, Mr. Gage? Why the gun?
You've come to the end of the road, Jim.
Then it was you that ambushed me, wasn't it?
Not me, personally, but a capable assistant of mine. He ought to be here any minute now.
But why? Why?
It's very simple. This mine is one of the richest in all Colorado. I've wanted it for years. Now I'm taking it.
Don't be ridiculous, Gage. People know that I've come to inspect the mine with you. If they should find me dead with a bullet in me, it won't take them long to guess who put it there.
They won't find you with a bullet in you.
Oh, no? What will they find?
Just start walking through that tunnel, and you'll learn.
Gage, no matter what you're planning on doing with me, it still won't get you the mine. My mother won't sell.
Won't she? Not even when I write her that the mine was the cause of your death? I think she will. Now get into that tunnel. That you, Lasco?
You expecting someone else, Mr. Gage?
You're not, Lasco. Now listen, I've got my gun on Farnham. You toss your guns out or I'll let him have it.
All right, Gage. I've thrown it out.
Don't play games with me, mister. If you're the masked man that Farnham told me about, you carry 2 guns. Now let's have the other one. That's better. Now come on out here in the open.
I'm coming, Gage.
Well, what's keeping you?
Right here, Gage.
Stop, I've had enough.
All right, Gage.
You came just in time, friend. He was ready to finish me off.
Yes, and I'm curious to know how. It could be very important evidence in court.
It had something to do with walking through this tunnel.
I know. I heard. Suppose you walk in there, Gage.
All right. If you insist.
So that was the unfortunate accident Gage had planned for you. Jim, if we don't get him out of there in a hurry, he'll be in no condition to stand trial. Well, Jim, looks like we found all of Gage's papers that the sheriff wanted for evidence.
I sure wish he'd deputized someone else for this job. I never dreamed that one man could be working on so many crooked deals at the same time.
Looked like enough evidence here to put him and Lasco in prison for life.
And all the men who worked for them. Thanks to you two, I have another front-page story for Dad's newspaper.
What about you, Jim? You going back to San Francisco?
No, I think I'll stick around here for a while. I've grown rather fond of the wild and woolly West. It has such pretty scenery.
Come on, Tonto. We're not needed here anymore. Bye, Miss Tanner. Adios, Jim.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Adios.
Oh, my goodness, they're gone. And I didn't even get a chance to interview the masked man.
Interview him? What for? You've been writing about him all week. When people get a little bored.
About him? No, Jim. I could write about him all year and people wouldn't get bored. Because he's an inspiration to everyone who reads about him. That's how all of us in the West feel about the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger. A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Hi-Yo Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Any sign of it yet? Not yet, boss.
Well, it'll be getting dark soon. But who can complain about a little waiting?
With our share of this job, we ought to be able to take it easy for a long time.
Yes, sir. A long, long time.
Here she comes.
Rein up!
Keep your hand away from your gun.
You John Walker?
Yes, but how do you know who I am?
That your bag?
Yes.
All right. Empty your pockets into here.
I'll give you my money.
I said empty your pockets.
I'll take that. There isn't much money.
There's more than you think, Mr. Walker. More than you think. Well, so far, so good. Bert, look! Come on.
feet. Who are you? What do you want? I haven't got any money on me. I didn't take anything from the stagecoach. You can search me.
This isn't a holdup, and I'm not an outlaw.
But the mask?
I have reasons for wearing this mask. Let's get back to the stagecoach. All right, fella. Step down.
Who are you, anyway?
You're the one that has the explaining to do.
Stage driver and man who ride on stage, both dead. Me put them in coach. Find this on floor.
Handkerchief. Initial J.W. Did you find anything else, Tonto?
Only this.
Broken match.
Me find it on ground by stage.
It isn't mine. I didn't have anything to do with the holdup.
If you didn't have anything to do with it, why don't you tell me what happened?
I heard some shots. When I got to the rise over there, I saw a couple of masked men holding up the stage.
We also heard the shots. This gun has just been fired. I can smell the burnt powder.
Well, I fired a couple of shots at the holdup men.
Tracks show men ride away. If this fellow not with men, why him try and get away?
Well, I saw his mask. I didn't know who you were.
That's understandable.
We follow trail of men him say holding up stage, Kemo Sabe?
No, Tonto. It'll be dark in less than an hour. We'll ride into town and see our old friend Sheriff Briggs and tell him what happened.
Me drive stagecoach.
We'll meet in the sheriff's office. Let's go.
Yeah, but suppose the sheriff doesn't...
Doesn't what?
Nothing. Nothing.
Ready to ride?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
So you say you fired 2 shots as the hold-up men rode away?
That's right.
It's too bad that stagecoach driver or his passenger isn't alive to back up your story. Jeff, if you're innocent, you shouldn't have tried to run away.
But I told you, Sheriff, I knew if I was seen around there, it'd look bad for me.
And it does look bad, Jeff. Especially since you've been out of prison less than 5 months.
Sure, I made one mistake, but I served my time.
Sheriff, I don't like to interfere, but past mistakes shouldn't be held against a person.
I feel the same way, but some people don't.
Mr. Scott, for instance.
We'll have to lock you up, Jeff. The evidence is all against you. You've served time. It's known you need money, and, well, with 2 people dead.
Sure. Give a dog a bad name and he lives with it for the rest of his life.
I'm sorry.
You think him guilty, Kemo Sabe?
No, Tonto, I don't.
And what we do?
We'll go after the men who are guilty.
I certainly hated to do that.
Sheriff, who is this Mr. Scott?
Oh, he's president of our bank here in town. His daughter and Jeff, well, they seem to care for each other.
Doesn't Mr. Scott like Jeff?
No. No, he doesn't, and well, you can't blame him for that. Jeff's prospects for the future are not very good. The only job he could find was that of a ranch hand at the Circle C spread.
Sheriff, a man shouldn't be judged by what he has, but by what he is.
I sure hope Jeff is innocent.
Well, in the morning, Tonto and I will try to follow the trail of the men Jeff spoke of. You'll hear from us.
Good luck.
Adios.
I wonder what's keeping him.
Well, that must be the boss now. Oh, howdy, Martin. We expected you before this.
Well, I rode the back trails. I didn't want anybody to see me with this box of clothes. How'd everything go?
Oh, without a hitch.
Good.
Look, here are his papers.
Huh. Well, with these, you won't have any trouble identifying yourself as Mr. John Walker, bank examiner. Well, those are your clothes.
Say, these are pretty fancy.
But not too. They're just what an honest, respectable gentleman would wear. I ought to know. I've been one long enough.
So now you're going to get some money the easy way, huh?
Well, why not? Do you know what it's like working in a bank, handling money, lots of money, seeing it, touching it, and none of it yours? Well, I do. And I've waited for exactly the right minute. And now I'm collecting.
Worm has finally turned, huh?
Yes. As you so ably put it, the worm has turned. And it'll be profitable for all of us.
Still gonna pull the job tomorrow?
Yes. I'll meet you here after the job and split with you. Oh, and you don't have to worry about the sheriff looking for you right away.
How come?
There's a young kid named Jeff Williams in jail. They think he held up the stage.
That's a break for us.
And I'll see that young Williams escapes tomorrow. The sheriff and his deputies will be so busy chasing him, they won't be around to start looking for you until they've had a good head start.
Hey, you think of everything, don't you?
I told you. I waited and planned a long time. All right, now here's what you're to do. Tomorrow being Saturday, the bank will close at noon. You're to arrive at the bank at precisely 3 minutes to 12. Mr. Scott.
Yes, Martin.
Would you authorize this check for payment, sir?
There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Here are those papers you wanted, Dad.
Thank you, Jean. Jean, about your going to the jail to see Jeff, I feel that...
I've told you, Dad. I don't want to discuss that anymore. As soon as we close the bank, I'm going over to see him.
I'm looking for Mr. Scott.
He's right over there, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Scott?
Yes. May I help you?
Oh, thank you. I'm John Walker, the bank examiner.
Well, how do you do?
How do you do, sir?
Won't you sit down?
Oh, thank you.
We expected you yesterday.
Well, unfortunately, I was delayed a little.
That delay may have saved your life. The stage was held up yesterday, and both the driver and passenger were killed.
Oh, say, that's terrible.
Yes. And now, if I may see your credentials.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. You know, one can't be too careful.
Mr. Scott, would you like me to close the bank up now?
Yes, please, Martin. Mm-hmm.
Miss Scott, I heard you say you were going over to see Jeff. I wondered if I might go with you.
Why, yes, of course.
I thought possibly there might be something I could do to help him.
Jeff needs all the help he can get right now.
Well, your credentials seem to be in order, and I'm sure you'll find our books the same way.
I'm sure I will, sir.
You'll excuse me now. I want to lock the door after Martin and my daughter.
I'll see you later, Dad.
All right, Jean.
Mr. Scott?
Why, what's the meaning of this?
Don't make a sound and you won't get hurt. Now unlock that door.
Any trouble?
Nah. Get him tied up and gagged. Boy, this is the easiest job we ever pulled. No shooting and all the time in the world to clean out the place.
But, Jeff, I believe you. Doesn't that mean anything?
So you believe me? But I'm still in jail. I don't know. Maybe your father's right.
Oh, Jeff, please don't say those things.
Even if I don't hang, even if I get out of this mess, what can I ever hope to offer you? Whenever anything happens, I'll be the first one they come looking for.
You made a mistake, but you paid for it.
And if you married me, you'd be making a mistake. Gina, I think it's best if you don't come see me anymore.
Jeff, you don't mean that.
Please go.
Jeff!
Please.
Well, that was hard to do.
What else could I do?
Jeff, this morning I heard some angry talk around town. Everybody's convinced that you're guilty. And some people are ready to act. With only a deputy on duty, you won't be safe even in here.
But if I try to get away, it'll be like saying I'm guilty.
If what I heard happens, it won't matter to you tomorrow whether you're guilty or not. You can always come back after your innocence is proved.
Trail of men who held up stage go into the stream, but them not come out.
Guess they used the old outlaw trick of riding into a stream to cover up their tracks.
They'll be plenty hard to follow then, Kemo Sabe.
We'll ride down both banks and see if we can find out where they left the stream.
We're doing all right. A nice, clean job. Well, get the key out of his pocket. We don't want anybody walking in here.
I got it.
Let's see how much we got.
All right. Raise your hands.
Say, what?
Get your hands up.
Sure, but... Look, is this some kind of a joke?
It isn't. I just decided to cut you two out of our little deal.
Shots sound like they come from over ridge.
Come on, Tonto.
Dead.
This one dead, too.
These credentials identify him as John Walker. He's a bank examiner.
Look, Kemo Sabe. Match broke in half.
Yes, broken the same way as the one we found at the stagecoach holdup.
It not seem right bank examiner be mixed up in holdup. Remember man who was killed on stagecoach? Him not have credentials or wallet.
Except for that handkerchief with the initials J.W. J.W. could stand for John Walker.
You think him real bank examiner and these men steal wallet and papers?
Yes, Tonto, I do. And what we found here could go a long way toward proving Jeff's innocence.
How that, Kemo Sabe?
Well, it backs up Jeff's story of the two hold-up men. And since Jeff's in jail, he couldn't have done this.
We go tell Sheriff?
Not yet, Tonto. First, let's try to pick up the trail of the person who killed these men.
Me not understand this. Horse turn onto road, go in direction of town.
Tells us one thing, Tonto. The person we're after isn't afraid of showing his face.
Let him outlaw, him ride back trails.
That's right.
What we do now, Kemo Sabe?
We'll tell the sheriff just exactly what we've found out.
Me wonder why Jeff not still locked in cell.
Not a sign of Sheriff Briggs or any of his deputies.
Maybe that sheriff now.
All right, men. Maybe we'll have better luck tomorrow.
Something wrong, Sheriff?
Yes, plenty wrong. Jeff managed to get hold of a 6-gun somewhere. Forced one of my deputies to let him out of jail. I've had a posse out all afternoon trying to pick up his trail. I had hoped that boy was innocent, but after this...
Sheriff, I believe Tonto and I found the two men who held up the stage.
You did? Where are they?
Both men dead.
Dead?
Yes, shot by a third party.
Sheriff.
Don't be alarmed, miss. I'm not an outlaw.
I can vouch for him, Miss Scott. Now, what's your trouble?
It's my father. He didn't come home for lunch, and nobody's seen him all afternoon.
Oh, well, he's probably just working late over at the bank.
But I went over there, and nobody answers.
Was your father alone the last time you saw him?
No, there was a bank examiner with him.
Come on, Sheriff. I'll explain later. You have a key?
No, Dad has the only one.
With your permission, I'll break it in.
Dad! Dad, are you all right?
I guess so. Let me help you, sir.
Thank you. Who are you?
He's no outlaw, Mr. Scott. Take my word for that.
But the bank it's been robbed.
By the bank examiner?
Yes. It must have been him. I was hit on the head, and when I came to, I was all tied up.
Tonto.
Yes, Kemo Sabe.
I found this on the floor. Broken exactly the same way as those we found at the scene of the stagecoach holdup and in the line shack.
The same man been in all three places.
It could be Jeff Williams. Both the robberies and the killings took place after he broke out of jail.
So young Williams has escaped. If that isn't a confession of guilt, I don't know what is.
I still believe that Jeff is innocent, but I'll need some help to prove it.
I'm just as interested in proving a man innocent as capturing a guilty one.
I'll need your help too, Mr. Scott.
If the boy is really innocent, I'll do all I can to help prove it. But what makes you think Jeff Williams isn't guilty?
Tonto and I found the two men who held up the stage. It was one of those men posing as the bank examiner who robbed you.
Did you find the bank's money?
No, but both of them were dead. Shot by a third person.
Why are you so sure that third person isn't Williams? I say he was in with the two men on that stage holdup, and after he broke out of jail, he killed them and made off with the money.
Very sound reasoning, Mr. Scott, except for one thing. Tonto and I followed the trail of the third person. It led directly back into town.
Then it couldn't have been Jeff. He wouldn't have risked coming back to town. He'd have been spotted in a minute.
Exactly. And the man who rode into town wasn't afraid of being seen.
Everything you say may be true, but that still doesn't tell us who the man is.
With the plan I have in mind and your help, I believe we can make the man reveal himself. Now, I'll act as bait for the trap. We'll leave one body at the line shack. And Jean...
I'll spread the word around town that the sheriff has captured the two men who robbed the bank.
That's right. Now, here's what we'll do. Tonto, keep my guns and gun belt, will you?
Me do, Kemo Sabe. Those make you look like one of men we find in shack.
Luckily, both he and I are built about the same.
Here, bandage, Kemo Sabe, to cover face and mask. Then no one able to tell you not man who already dead.
The whole plan depends upon this deception working.
It work, Kemo Sabe.
I hope so, for Jeff's sake.
easy. Pete, give us a hand.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Scott.
Oh, hello, Martin. Well, the sheriff has the two men who robbed the bank today.
Oh.
The Indian found them. One of them was dead. But the sheriff's hoping Doc Barrett can pull the other one through so he can tell us what they did with the money.
Oh, that's good news. The one who's still alive, he hasn't said anything?
Oh, he's in no condition to talk yet.
Mr. Scott, Doc Barrett says the man may be able to talk by morning. Apparently, he wasn't as badly hurt as we thought.
Well, that is good news.
Now I'll take his pal's body down to the coroner.
Cow.
Seeing what an outlaw looks like, Mr. Martin?
Yes. Yes, that's all, Sheriff.
Martin, you're on your way to the sheriff's office. Now get going.
Thank you, Jeff. How do you like your new job?
Well, I can promise you this, Sheriff. I'll never try to escape from behind these bars.
Jeff better be careful what he's saying. I happen to know my daughter's planning a life sentence for him.
Dad.
Gene and I certainly owe that masked man a lot.
I think I owe him the most. He not only recovered the bank's money, but he made me realize how wrong it is to judge a person on his past and not think of him by his hopes and ambitions for the future.
He's a great man, Mr. Scott. The West will grow and prosper with the help of men like the Lone Ranger.
Be with the Lone Ranger and Tonto same time next week for new dangers in another thrill-packed adventure when the Lone Ranger rides again. Ranger.